Hello everybody, my name is Dratnos and welcome to This Week in Mythic Plus. This week's affixes are Raging, Explosive, Fortified, which is I guess at level 2, so I should have started with it, but I'm always used to saying it the way that Legion, you had it, where the Tyrannical and Fortified were the third affix, so here we are. And of course, Tormented. This week's combination of affixes is actually quite good when you look at the calendar for most groups, this is going to be your second best Fortified week, with Bursting, Storming, Fortified being better, but this one, pretty good. Explosives, dying fairly easily. Raging. The Raging Fortified combo is nasty. It's nasty in some spots, so that is the big challenge of this week. But there's really something nasty about every Fortified week this season, right? You got Grievous Inspiring, you got Bolstering here, you got I guess Grievous Spiteful, that one might be better than this one. That one's also pretty good. And then, I mean, Sanguine Necrotic. So this is either second or third. It's a medalist for sure in terms of Fortified weeks, at least for groups that are like the ones I've been in. So some of the big news coming this week, though, of course, is that patch 9.1.5 is out. And so with that being out, let's talk a little bit about some of the things you should do this week. First off, you can buy Covenant Renown up to 40 in any Covenant that you are not already. And once you reach Renown 80 in one Covenant, you can swap freely between it and whatever other ones you want on your whole account. Reach Renown 80 once, and you get to swap around. So what you should do is, if you want to play multiple Covenants, if you want to mess around with other Covenant effects, if you want to level up those other Covenants, start thinking about doing content as those other Covenants to gain Renown. So for instance, if you're pushing keys, of course, play a leveled up Covenant that you're familiar with. But if you're doing a weekly 15, if you're doing a key where you don't expect there's much chance of failure, consider swapping to a Covenant that you want to get Renown in, if there are other ones that you do want Renown in, so that you can get Renown at the end of the dungeon run, perhaps. So definitely something worth considering. Another thing worth considering as well, making sure you have a Night Fae for Mistatuna Scythe, making sure you have a Venthyr for Halls of Atonement. Those sorts of things are all doable with Covenant swaps now, if you have somebody in your group who is willing to do it. Now, in some of these, I mean, it's really nice, for instance, to have a Night Fae to open this door in Mists, but if you're somebody who doesn't care about this and only wants to play your one Covenant you already are, you really don't have anything you need to worry about. Nothing has changed for you. Oh my goodness, I'm missing out on one of these Moss-worn rares right now because I'm recording this video. This is a tragedy here. Anyways, yeah, not too much changing. You can, continue to play your one Covenant and hang out at Renown 80 on that all you want. But if you do want to play other Covenants, now is the time where being able to swap and grind Renown on those other Covenants is going to be really, this is a really good time for it. So I guess it's a little bit outside the scope of this video, but for instance, swapping and then doing the world bosses as another Covenant that you care about grinding Renown in is a really easy way to do it. So if you're not in a rush and you can do it over the period of a month or two, just doing the world bosses as whatever Covenant, you'll get like almost all the way up to Renown 80 just from doing that. You get like triple Renown from killing those for a lot of the time. So yeah, that's some advice that's not really M+ related, but it's 9.1.5 related, and hey, it might be relevant to you swapping to an M+ Covenant. Speaking of which, depending on which spec you're playing, there are some Covenants that are good in M+, but not as popular in Raid. So it is a good idea to go and look and see if that's something that interests you. For the most part, unless you're actually like super high-end pushing, you can of course play whatever you enjoy, whatever you like the most, but you might find out you enjoy doing a lot of damage. And so if that's you, then looking for a Covenant that has a nice AoE built ability, M+ is generally a good place for that, especially on Fortified weeks. So I would look at those sorts of options, things like Kyrian for Arms Warriors instead of the Night Fae you may have been for Raid, stuff like, Night Fae, Mage even, for pretty much all three specs in M+. It's a nice and easy and great Covenant choice for you there. But really anything that looks fun, looks cool to you, there's no cost in experimenting anymore. So try stuff out, have fun with it if you want, or don't bother and stay the one Covenant you're already enjoying if the restriction hasn't gotten in your way before. But yeah, that's where we're at now. In terms of some specific dungeon notes, there are a few raging pain points where if you don't have a soothe, you're going to get in some trouble, such as enraged spirits. Make sure you either burst these from 30 to 0 before they cast, like so between the first and the second casts, or between the second and third casts of rage would be the time to do this, or soothe it. But don't have this cast going off while it's raging. That will kill you. Explosive, pretty much a non-affix to worry about in most dungeons, except for Halls of Atonement. The place where explosive is going to get you is the Sanctuary of Souls here. So a couple different ways you can do this. I would say the best way in general is just kind of pull Inquisitor near the middle of the room and have your tank looking at one quadrant and your DPS players, you know, each of them probably AoEing down one of these quadrants anyways, handling the explosives in it, but maybe spend a little bit extra time to make sure you actually have it planned out for what you're going to do and who's going to be looking at which part of the room, because a lot of explosives do spawn in this area. Other than that, explosives, you know, one global kills them. They're usually pretty free everywhere else this expansion. Yep, that's some quick tips for this week. Hope this video helped. Hope you enjoy your keystones this week. And yeah, thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.